So I think the gold has been at consolidating for most of the time yesterday, and we had a situation where I actually missed out on this buy opportunity on the gold. And for those who are taking advantage of that buy opportunity yesterday, well done to you guys for being on standby as we saw a breakout of the $1,806.50 level, multiple rejection of that level to give us an opportunity to join that rally to the upside. Hold on a second, please. Okay, I'm trying to sort out some technical. All right, I'm back. So we had an opportunity to buy the gold yesterday. I actually missed out on this opportunity sincerely. So we had the breakout retest of the $1,806.50 level with multiple entries above that structure to give us an opportunity to buy the XAU And if you are taking advantage of this move right around the $1,806 level, you would currently be in profit of about 1,300 pips. Remember, we had our TP targets at around the $1,820 level. And the reason why we placed our TP target at the 1,820 level is because of the fact that that level has been a strong selling niche for participants in this market since the beginning of this month. So we saw that every time buyers try to break out of that structure, we have been witnessing selling pressure around that area. In fact, on Tuesday, we had a huge attempt by the buyers to break out of that structure. Remember, we took advantage of this buy position right above the 1,806, which broke out of the 1,820 with about 1,800 pips. But immediately after price broke out of that structure, the next hour we started seeing selling pressure coming again to break down the 1,820. So with the buy position here yesterday, we also had about 1,300 pips as price action hit our TP target at the 1,820. Now that we are going into the New York session today, what is going to be our plans? Well, for us to trade the XAUUSD today, I was able to identify a single setup, a single structure that we shall be using. And the first one is this trend line here. As you can see, in the last 48 hours, this trend line has been a major determinant of price action. As you can see, when price was below it, there was a retest, and when price broke out of it, there was a respect of that bullish trend line. So what I'm going to be looking forward to today is that we shall be using this trend line to guide our trading activities for today. Now, one thing we are going to be looking out for is if price breaks out of the $1,820 level, then we start seeing buy pressure right above that structure. We want to be getting ready to join or add more position. If you still have a buy position running here, we want to be joining the rally to the upside if that happens. Then the other possible scenario that might likely happen here is if price breaks down that trend line in such a way that we have a breakdown of this trend line with selling pressure below the trend line area on our lower time frame, then we want to be joining that decline to the downside. And one thing about the decline to the downside here is the fact that we want to be monitoring what happens when price action gets back into the $1,806.50 level. And the reason why we need to have a closer look at that structure is simply, let's see what has been happening here since the beginning of the week. Look at what happened here on Monday. I think on Tuesday, when we bought the gold, we saw that buy pressure resumed at exactly that same area. And then, though we saw the breakdown of the structure, price climbed up again at the 1,806 level to push price to the upside. So if we are selling at the breakdown of this bullish trend line here, and price continues to go to the downside, we want to be waiting to see how price action is going to react to the 1,806, a level which also shares a confluence with that bullish trend line that we identified at the beginning of the week to determine if price is going to continue to the downside or we're going to be seeing another buy pressure around that area to incite another wave of bullish momentum. But if a breakdown of that structure happens, we have no choice but to think of adding more position to our existing trade. And if a further breakdown of the $1,800 level happens again, then we will be looking out for opportunities to add another position to our existing trade on the XAU USD. So we have quite an a tendency of having multiple entries on the XAUUSD. And do remember that we have a macroeconomic event coming up today, which has a likelihood of affecting price movement, and that is the with the Chicago Purchasing Managers Index, which is coming up in 2 hours from now. So we are want to be looking forward to that event to drive price movement. So we are going to be seeing some level of anticipation for this event coming up, and we shall be seeing the reflection of this right on the chart. And in order to make our job easier during the New York session today, I would like to identify a structure here at the $1,815 level, where we shall be using that also to guide our trading activities. So let me label this for the sake of clarity. So we have the $1,815 level, where I will be looking out for a breakdown of that structure to signal a selling opportunity for me here. So if a breakdown of the 1,815 happens during the New York session today, then we shall be looking out for selling opportunities on our lower time frame below the structure to join that decline to the downside. And please do not forget that we are going to be looking forward to see how price action will be reacting to the $1,806.50 level to give us an opportunity to know if price is going to reject that level to incite another wave of bullish momentum, or we are going to be seeing a breakdown of that structure, which will be giving us an opportunity to add more position to our existing trade. But before I close the XAUUSD for today, I want us to have an holistic view of what is really going on in this market, and let's be on the same page, especially for those who are not part of our live session at the beginning of the week. So you can now understand why we are thinking the way we are thinking at this particular point in time. All right, so on the daily time frame here, what we had here on the daily time frame is that despite the fact that price action has been on a bearish momentum since the month of March, we had this key level at the $1,800 level, which has been a major determinant of price action since the beginning of the year. And if we zoom to as far back as December last year, stroke February of this year, we saw how that level was holding accumulation for buy pressure before we saw that ignition of bullish momentum that took price to the $2,080 level in the month of March. Now, since then, price continued to find lower lows and lower highs. Then also at the $1,800 level here in the month of May, we saw another attempt by the buyers to push price to the upside, but unfortunately, it was met with strong resistance from the sellers, which finally led to the breakdown of the $1,800 level in the month of July. And throughout the second half of this year, price has been trading right below the 1,800 to emphasize the strength of the sellers at this particular point in time. So when we look at what happened in the month of November, we saw the breakout of the trend line. Price climbed up, but as soon as price got into the $1,800 level, that very important key level we talked about earlier, price was caught within a huge consolidation phase. And in fact, this consolidation phase lasted about 4 weeks here, as there is a huge indecision in this market right now. And since the beginning of this month, we have been seeing multiple rejection of the 1,820, as every attempt by the buyers to continue to push price to the upside continue to get some level of rejection from the sellers around the $1,820 level. And that is the level I showed you on the 1 hour time frame, where we have been witnessing selling pressure from that area. And if the selling pressure continues, and if buyers are not able to break out of this structure, in fact about 4 weeks old now, buyers have been trying to break out of the 1,820, and if this continues, there is a tendency that sellers might likely come in, and there could be a rally for the dollar, and this will end up being probably a retracement of that previous impulse leg back into somewhere around our golden zone area, where we'll be looking out for another wave of bullish momentum. But for me, on this at this point in time, it is very likely that sellers might come in at this area, considering the fact that we look at the nature of the wicks here of these candles. Look at the nature of those wicks there. We see multiple rejection of the 1,820. And to be on the safer side, if you're a long-term trader, you might want to wait for price to break down the 1,800 to join that decline to the downside. So if you want that kind of scenario here and you can afford about, let me see how many pips that is, about 3,000 pips, you can afford the 3,000 pips stop loss for your trade. That's if you're a long-term trader. I'm talking about people who hold the position for like 2-3 weeks thereabout, and you can afford about 3,000 pips stop loss. Then you could have a stop order right below the 1,800 with the hopes that price will get to as far as the 1,680 in the next couple of months. But if you are not, well, we'll scale down to the lower time frame like we did and look at how price is reacting to the 1,820 to decipher how price is going to where price will be heading towards in the next couple of weeks. So let's go back to the 1 hour time frame and let's see what we have here. So on the 1 hour time frame, price is currently sitting at the 1,815 level, a level which has been holding by pressure in the last 12 hours thereabout. So we have been seeing buy pressure above that structure, and that level also shares a confluence with this temporary trend line I identified this morning. So let's see how price action will react to this level. And for those who had missed out on this opportunity here, I told you let's remain patient here. We are not buying the XAU unless price action breaks out of the 1,820. Price does not break out of the 1,820 with a close above the structure, we are not thinking of buying the XAU. But if price breaks down this trend line that I just identified here, which also shares a confluence with the $1,815 level, then we want to be looking out for selling opportunities on the XAU. So that is my scenario here on the XAU. If you have any questions regarding what I just explained so far, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section. I'm actually running out of time, so I will just run through all the pairs we have talked about today before I call it a day. I'm so sorry, Scott Benji. I just saw your comment and it's very unlikely for me to take this. I hope we can do something on this next week. And once again, compliments of the season to you, Scott Benji. I've not seen you quiet in a while. Hope you are doing well.